What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Corey, one half of His and Herbs. That's Keisha over there. Oh, she said hey. And we are His and Herbs. We're just some small time, soon to be big time gardeners growing food in the high deserts of Southern California. All right, guys. So today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do part 2 of the growing watermelon and cantaloupes in containers. This is a video I actually should have done a lot sooner, but I didn't think about it until like last night. But it's how to protect your melons and everything from your seedlings and your melons from insects and animals. We've been growing up here for 4 years, and we deal with the typical pest problem, nothing too outrageous, right? But last year, for some reason out of nowhere, we started having these grasshoppers just came out of nowhere. And what was happening was the grasshoppers were eating the watermelon and the cantaloupe seedlings, which did not make me happy at all. But they didn't cause that big of a problem. Like, we've had some friends out here they had some really big problems out of those grasshoppers. Like, they were like eating everything. We're blessed that it didn't really happen to us up here. We just had, like they ate a couple of they ate a couple of the watermelon plants, but that was about it. All right. So once I found out that's what they were doing, what I did was I had to come back and I had to protect the seedlings, and then later on protect the watermelon as they grew. All right, and I'm gonna just show you guys what I did last year to protect both the seedlings and the watermelon. So let's go. Last year the grasshoppers kept attacking our seedlings. Now, they wouldn't attack them when they got this big. By the time they got this big, they were fine, they were safe. And I would see 1 or 2 grasshoppers in the area, and they weren't bothering with the melons. It was when they were much smaller, like this one, that's when they were getting attacked. Okay, so just for the sake of demonstration though, I'm going to show you how I protected my seedlings. And it was with nothing more than just a basket from the Dollar Tree or the $1.25 store. The old funny acting sales and raise their price 25 cents. And that 25 cents makes a difference. So all I did was get some of these, and I would cover them like that. Now, obviously, with my irrigation hose in there, I would have to take that out and move it in order for this to sit flush so that the grasshoppers can't go underneath. But last year I didn't have any irrigation, right? So I just sat it in the bed and covered it. Now, obviously, you can't keep everything out. Baby grasshoppers can still get in there, but the adult grasshoppers, they're not coming nowhere close, right? They can't get in. But the smaller ones can. But so this worked perfectly in terms of, thank you, keeping the larger grasshoppers out. I didn't really see a lot of damage coming from the smaller grasshoppers. It was more so the larger ones that were giving us more of the problems. Okay, so this worked perfectly for that. Another thing that you can do is they actually sell these like teepee looking plastic covers that you can do the same thing with. They're much taller. They're maybe a foot tall. So your plant has more room to grow, and you can use them for more like peppers and tomatoes and taller plants. Not just lower, things like this that sprawl and crawl on the ground. But I'm gonna put a link to that in the description box, and I'm gonna also try to put a image on the screen so that you guys can see it. But those things, we found out from a gardener friend, those things work really well too. The only difference is they're taller, but they have a hole right in the center of the cover. So anything that wants to crawl up and jump down inside, they can. But I think one of the things about that is once it gets inside, it can't get out. So it's kind of a trap too, because bugs can get into things sometimes, but sometimes they can't find their way out if the entrance is too narrow. Even though it was big enough for them to jump into, they can't get out of it, right? So that's another thing that you can use as well. A third thing you can do is if you have a smaller plant like this one, it's not developing too well. It's actually looking, this melon actually looks better when we planted it than it does right now. But if you have a smaller melon like this, what you can do is you could take a cup, just a plastic cup, put some holes in the bottom like you would. These cups were used for up potting. So we got drainage holes in the bottom. So if you want to put more holes in there, if you want to put a lot of small holes in the bottom of this cup for air, and then you could just take it and cover your seedling like that. You could put some more holes. Get my shadow out the way. You could put more holes in the side, and you can kind of stake it into the bed, into the soil, so it doesn't move. We get a lot of high winds, so we need stuff to keep things stable and down and lock things into place. Because if not, tomorrow this thing will be gone somewhere, right? But you basically fix this to the ground so it doesn't move, and that's more added protection, because all you're really trying to do is buy yourself some time for your plant to get a certain size so that the bugs leave them alone. So lastly, what we want to talk about is protecting your melon once it's actually developing on the vine. Okay, so once you get a nice melon forming on the vine, you'll have all kinds of things trying to attack it at that point. So one of the things that we did last year, eating breakfast, I used this mesh bag from the Dollar Tree. Um, I just bought a bunch of these, and as the melons would grow, I would cover the melon with the mesh bag, put the melon inside the mesh bag. And then the ones from Dollar Tree are cheap, so they will tear or rip a little easier. Like this one, the drawstring is gone. I don't know how, but it's gone. So I would just put the melon inside the bag and use the drawstring to cinch it shut, and it did just fine. I had some Charleston Grays growing over here. I did see like some scratch marks on it, like something was clawing at it a little bit. I put it inside of a net bag. Never had that problem again. Same thing with the Georgia rattlesnake. You guys saw the video. If you go back, I'll link the video here somewhere where we actually took that melon that we harvested, and you saw I had the mesh bag on it the entire time that it grew. With this size mesh bag, you're not worried about the melon actually outgrowing the bag. The bag is big enough to support the melon no matter how big it gets, unless you're growing one of those contest winning champion melons that's like, yeah. But this is I don't want to sit but drink down because I don't want nothing to end up in it. But this is a laundry bag. It's big enough for any kind of melon that you're gonna grow in your backyard. Um, if you choose to, you can get the smaller ones. The smaller ones, they're not going to be able to hold a watermelon, but they can hold like a cantaloupe or a honeydew, most likely. But I didn't want to go through all that by trying to figure out how many honeydew and cantaloupe plants I had and how many I'm trying to grow for the season. That's why I just get the big ones. There's no thinking involved. You walk in, you grab the big bags, you pay for them, you walk out. That's it, right? But these things work perfectly for what it is that we were trying to do. And the thing about it is you have to also assess your environment. Like here, we don't have deer. We have mountain lions, coyotes, dogs, cats, mice, squirrels, that kind of stuff. We don't have deer, bigger animals that's going to come in and bother us in that regard, right? So also assess your environment and where you are, because that's going to also tell you what you may need, and look at what you already have around your house, because that's going to tell you what you can also use. But those are the ways that we protected ours last year. Other things that you can do, you can use a crate, like a milk crate. A lot of restaurants are giving those things away for free because they don't have anywhere to put them, and I don't know if they don't want to or they can't throw them in the trash or whatever, for whatever reason. So they just stack up. Like when we got ours, I stopped at our restaurant. I saw like 2 outside, and I asked them, "Can we get them?" And they were like, "Yeah." They bought me like 12. They bought me 10 more. The 2 outside plus 10 out the restaurant, because they're taking up space. So you could use milk crates and using this cut. You can cut a little space in one side of the crate, and then just set that over your melon. And then if you need to put something heavy on top of it, put something heavy on top of it so nothing can come and knock it away. If you have a 5-gallon bucket, you can do the same thing. 5-gallon bucket with a lid. You put a hole in the lid, cut a space in the lid for the vine to pass through. You put that sucker right in the 5-gallon bucket. This all depends on what you have access to and what you need. My mom used to tell me growing up that necessity is the mother of ingenuity, and she ain't never lied about that. When you, that's what we call in the Navy, we call it jerry rigging. I don't know who Jerry was, but Jerry was had a hard life because he had a lot of ways of doing things that weren't that he did things and used things in a way that they weren't designed to be used, and it worked. So, but anyway, guys, that's it. That's how you protect your melons. That's how you protect your seedlings. Those are some additional ideas on how to do the same thing either way, right? It's just about being creative and being, just coming up with some things. Okay. So with that being said, y'all, that's it for that. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a quick update on Melon Mountain and how things are going up here, just so you guys can see the progress from when we planted them to now. All right. In that video where I showed you guys how to plant the melons, the cantaloupes, and the watermelon in containers, this is that original Jubilee watermelon that we planted, the seedling that we put in here, and you can see it's been like what it was April 21st. Today is May 7th, and it has grown that much to the point to where in a couple of days this thing is going to be sprawling out of the container. I thought it was leggy. I knew it was leggy, but I didn't think that it was going to do anything, right? I thought it was stunted because it was leggy and that it would just eventually like just die off. But she's going strong. She's going strong. That's the Jubilee right here. This is the melon that we grew last year. I think it's a Georgia rattlesnake. About 90% sure that it was a Georgia rattlesnake, just based off of the stripe pattern. But this is a Georgia rattlesnake. Yesterday when I came out in the morning, this vine right here, let me see, can't see, was about right here yesterday morning when I came out. Yesterday evening about 6 o'clock when I came out, it was right at the brim. It had grown that about a good inch from here to here. And then this morning I come out and it's peeking out. It's playing peekaboo. It's peeking out of the container. So I think this one is growing so good because we grew it last year. So these are just the seeds from the melon that we had already grown. So they're becoming acclimated to our weather, right? So I think that's why that one's doing so good. Over here we have a sugar baby. She's not sprawling, but she's getting really bushy. And this is gonna be my first year actually growing sugar baby. So she's doing good. She was much smaller, but she's doing good. She's looking lovely. This is our Congo. It's doing well, and the only three that I'm worried about are this one here. Let me see. There we go. It's this one here. This is an all sweet. This one actually looked better when I planted it, and it does not seem to be showing a lot of improvement right now. So I have a ton of Jubilee and all sweet. So I'm gonna just plant another all sweet and see, if this one catches up, if this one corrects, self corrects and grows and does what it's supposed to do, then I just have two all sweet watermelons. I heard they were really sweet and really good, so I'm not gonna be mad at having an extra watermelon plant. This one is a golden honey. This one I only have one more of these left. So once I plant it, I need to make sure that at least one of these grow and give me some watermelon, or else I'm not gonna have any seeds for next year. This one looked better when I planted it, just like the all sweet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with these two. This is a black diamond. There you go. This is a black diamond. Same thing. Looked better when I planted her. And keep in mind, all of these were planted on the same exact day. All of these were planted on the same exact day. You guys see the growth that's happening with the other melons and the other, and they are doing, the other ones are doing really good, coming along rather nicely, but these three are struggling for some reason. But no problem. I don't have any more black diamonds, so if this one dies off, then I'm just out of luck. This is a Georgia rattlesnake. This one was planted later, about a week after everything else, and you can see this one is doing better than the previous three that I showed you. All of these seeds were started at the same time, except the Jubilee that I showed you. Everything else was started at the same time. They just weren't. This was just the last one to be transplanted out here, and this is already doing better than the Golden Honey, Black Diamond, and the All Sweet. I have some Crimson Sweet over here. These got 3 melons growing in it, but it was not on purpose. The first 2 batches did not germinate, so I didn't dump the seeds out. I didn't dump the soil out. Nothing. I just planted an additional seed in the in that cup, and lo and behold, they all sprouted at the same time. I'm like, man, I guess they didn't like to be alone. The Three's Company, it's not a crowd. Three's Company. This is my honeydew. She's doing pretty good. She's starting off slow, but because she's another one that was kind of leggy, but she's doing good now. She's recovering rather nicely, and the same thing with this Hell's Best Cantaloupe over here. She's doing good. She's touching the planter, the rim of the planter now. So in a couple of days, probably by Sunday, she should be outside of the container as well. So this is our Charleston Gray. She's doing the same thing. She looking rather lovely, showing off for the camera. But that's it, y'all. That's it for Melon Mountain. What we got going on up here. Showed you guys how we protect our plants from critters. We showed you guys how we protected our plants from critters last year, and we expect the same thing to work this year. So with that being said, guys, we enjoyed you guys' company. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And we'll see y'all in the next video. Deuces.